Hi students, am I audible and visible to you all? Hello. Hi everyone. Hi, good evening. Good evening. Am I audible and visible to you all? A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to Unacademy NEET English. I'm your biology educator Ambika Sharma, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is breathing and exchange of gases. And I really want to finish it today in this particular lecture, and you know what we need, I just need your support for that. Okay. So this is the second chapter of the human physiology. So basically it is the 17th chapter of old NCERT, but it is the second chapter of human physiology. We are already done with digestion and absorption, and today this is what we need to finish. And let me tell you, this chapter is very easy. In the human physiology, you'll find difficulty in neural control and coordination, sometimes in locomotion and movement. Otherwise, all the chapters are very easy, and I am here to make it easy for you, right? So tell me, how are you all? Excited for the new chapter? Yes, Harshita, Nandini, Sangeeta, Vedisha. So are you people excited for completing one more chapter? Yes? Okay, so just open up your NCERT and start making the notes. And here you know what you have to do. See, just look at this. See, this is your channel, Unacademy NEET English. You know that we have started it in the month of April, and with your support now, we are the 70K family. And let's make it 100K as soon as possible, right? 70K subscriber family, of course. So let's make it 100K subscriber family as soon as possible. So if you're new to our channel, kindly subscribe our channel and do join the Avengers 2.0 batch, where we are discussing the human physiology, and after every 15 days, you are going to get a test in that particular batch. So you can practice the questions as well, right? You can revise the syllabus as well. Doubt sessions are there. So that batch is amazing, and yes, it is you're going to get it at a price of ₹4999, right? So if you are the part of Avengers batch, then very good. You know how good it is. If you are not, you can even ask from the students of the Avengers batch that batch is awesome. Okay, so join it. Fine, join it. So now let's continue, students, and let's start the chapter, that is breathing and exchange of gases. Done? I don't know Marathi. I don't know Marathi. Okay, let's start the chapter. So the first question here is, see, tell me, what is the meaning of breathing? What is the meaning of breathing? Tell me, is breathing and respiration same? Do let me know. What is the meaning of breathing, and tell me whether breathing or respiration, is it same or different? Tell me quickly. And today the class needs to be interactive. Whatever question I'm going to ask you people, you have to answer that questions. Okay, done? So tell me, what is breathing? Yes, what is breathing? Quick, and do hit the like button, guys. Okay, so one student is saying breathing is the exchange of gases. Okay, it's different. Okay, what else? Inhalation and exhalation is respiration. Inhalation and exhalation is what? Is it respiration or is it breathing? Okay, so first of all, the word respiration, what is it? See, respiration is the complete oxidation of the food. It is the complete oxidation of the glucose, right? In plant physiology, we have the chapter respiration in plants. There we are going to discuss this particular part, okay? So when it comes to the respiration, respiration is the complete oxidation of the glucose. And when it comes to the oxidation of the glucose, of course, we need the oxygen, isn't it? So with the help of that oxygen, the glucose, which is your C6H12O6, right? With the help of what? With the help of oxygen, the C6H12O6, that is your glucose, it will be oxidized in a multi-step process. Okay, it will be oxidized, and it is not like that in one go the complete glucose will be oxidized. No, it's a multi-step process. Okay, it's a multi-step process, and you need enzymes for that. Okay, so with the help of enzymes in the presence of oxygen, glucose will be oxidized and the energy will be released. That is what your respiration is. Okay, that is what your respiration is, especially the cellular respiration. And you know that we need the energy, isn't it? We need the energy for our activities. Okay, for that metabolism as well. So this energy is actually trapped in the form of ATP. Fine, this energy is actually trapped in the form of ATP. So when it comes to the breathing, okay, breathing is the first step of respiration. What is this breathing? Breathing is the first step of respiration. Breathing is actually the exchange of gases. What is breathing? What is breathing? Breathing is actually, what is it? It is the exchange of gases where oxygen will be inhaled and CO2 will be exhaled. Clear, bache? CO2 will be exhaled. So if you read this particular part from NCERT, in NCERT it is clearly mentioned that breathing and respiration, they are considered as same. But actually it is not like that. Breathing is just the first step of respiration, and when it comes to the respiration, you know what it is. Okay, this first part clear? This first basic concept clear? Now tell me another thing, that respiration is a what kind of process it is? Is it catabolic? Is it anabolic? Is it amphibolic? What is it? Tell me, what is it? Okay, Satish is saying it's a catabolic process. Okay. Catabolic. What else? See, I am asking, my question is that when you talk about the respiration, what kind of process it is? Is it a catabolic process? Is it an anabolic process or the amphibolic process? What is it? What is it? So let me explain this part, bache, because here there will be the breakdown of glucose, right? There is the oxidation of glucose. So of course it should be catabolic, yes or no? Of course it should be catabolic, yes or no? Cata means, how to remember this part? Cata means cut. Cut means breakdown, isn't it? So here we have the breakdown of glucose. What do we have here? The breakdown of glucose is there, isn't it? Breakdown of glucose is there. So of course it is a catabolic process. But bache, when you will finish the chapter, the entire chapter, respiration, okay, so you will see that it is a multi-step process where sometimes there is the breakdown, there is the build-up. Okay, so overall we also use the word amphibolic for it, right? That what type of process it is? It is amphibolic. Why? Because catabolism and the anabolism is going on. Fine, bache, catabolism and the anabolism is going on. Is that clear? Done. So that is why we are saying that it is amphibolic in nature. Clear, bache? It is amphibolic in nature. Done. Fine. So when it comes to the respiration, there are some steps. Okay, there are some steps. So the first step is the breathing, that is the exchange of gases, right, bache? Where what is going to happen? Oxygen in and CO2 out, right? It is oxygen in and CO2 out. So can you tell me the next step, bache, after breathing? What will be the next step? Breathing is that atmospheric air is drawn in, that is your oxygen, this is what we need, and the CO2, right, which is formed during metabolism, it will be exhaled. Clear, bache? So breathing is also known as, yes, breathing is also known as pulmonary ventilation. What is it? It is also known as pulmonary ventilation. Clear, bache? Now, what will be the next step? Can you tell me this? There are 5 steps when it comes to the respiration. So can you tell me which one is the second step? Which one is the second step? Second step is, bache, your diffusion. What is it? It is the diffusion of gases. Now, we are going to inhale the air. So you know that we have the lungs, right? This is what I'm assuming that you know this thing, that we have the lungs as the, we have the lungs which are our respiratory organs, isn't it? isn't it? So when you are talking about the lungs, in the lungs we have alveoli. What do we have? We have alveoli. And here in the alveoli, there will be the exchange of gases. So what is going to happen? Second step is the diffusion of gases. What will be there? Second step is the diffusion of gases across this alveoli membrane. Clear, bache? It is the diffusion of gases across alveolar membrane, right? That's the second step. And now when it comes to the third step, so diffusion, you know that, right? It's a passive process. From higher concentration, oxygen will move towards the lower concentration. From lower concentration, the CO2 from higher concentration will move towards the lower concentration. That is what diffusion is. Now when it comes to the third step, it will be your transport. Transport of what? Transport of gases, isn't it? Or you can say that instead of so instead of transport, you can simply first of all, there will be the transport of gases, right? Transport of gases. The blood will take that gas from the lungs to the body tissues, isn't it? And then in the body tissues, there will be an exchange. Yes or no? And then again, there will be the utilization of that oxygen. So that's what you need to mention, right? So after diffusion of gases, as I said, there will be the transport of oxygen via blood. And then again, there will be an exchange. So basically, once again, there will be the diffusion of gases from blood to tissue. Okay, from blood to tissue. And finally, that oxygen will be utilized by the cells for the oxidation of the glucose. So this is what respiration is. Clear, bache? This is what respiration is. Is that clear? Is that clear? So finally, oxygen utilized by the cells. This is the cellular respiration, and the CO2 will be released. Clear? So these are the steps of respiration, and we are going to talk about the first one, that is your breathing. Okay, right? So this is the basic part here. Now, what is the next step? So when it comes to the respiratory organ, can you just tell me in which phylum for the first time you will see a proper respiratory system? Can you just tell me? Can you tell me the name of the phylum where for the first time, right, in animal kingdom, where for the first time you will see a proper respiratory system? Yes, quickly. Yashika, Priya, Mishra, Buddha, Samira, Josephine. Name of the phylum. Just let me know the name of the phylum, right, where you will see a proper respiratory system. Do you remember that? Chalo, I'll tell you. So, first of all, when you're talking about the respiratory organs, bache, now see, you know that in the animal kingdom, we have 11 phylums, isn't it? Isn't it? Now, when we talk about the porifera, that is just having the cellular level of organization. Now, compare one porifera with the chordata, right? In the case of chordata, you know that a multicellular body, right, having proper organ system is there. So, now, obviously, when it comes to the level of organization, when it comes to the place where that porifera is living and the chordates they are living, so obviously it is very different. So of course it is going to affect their respiratory organs as well. So when it comes to the respiratory organs, that what type of respiratory organ will be there, it depends upon the level of organization as well, and it depends upon the habitat as well. Are you getting it? It depends upon the habitat as well, and it depends upon what, bache? It depends upon the level of organization as well. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So this is what you need to write down. So respiratory organ, or you can say that mode of respiration. Fine. Mode of respiration. It depends upon level of organization. Okay. And then comes habitat. Fine. These are the two things that you need to keep in your mind. Fine, bache. Level of organization and the habitat. Is that clear? Is that clear? So now let's start recalling the phylum names, right? So even whenever we'll start your excretory system, your circulatory system, we are going to, we are going to recall the animal kingdom as well, because we have to compare the organisms. Then bache, what we have to do, we have to compare the organisms. So now, as I said, that respiratory organs or the mode of respiration, yeah, mechanism of breathing, you can simply say, right? It depends upon what level of organization and the habitat. Clear bache? So let's start with the phylum name so that you can relate it in a better way. So first phylum is Porifera. Yes or no? Yes or no? First phylum is Porifera. Everyone, please write down the name of the phylums in the comment section quickly. All of you, please write down the name of the phylums in the comment section. Quick. Ma'am, is syllabus reduced or not? I think we have discussed it so many times. There is no reduction in the syllabus as of now. Okay, please do not spam here. Quickly, just write down the name of the phylums in the comments in the chat box quickly. Right? And try to write it in one message. Very good. So you know that we have Porifera. Next is Cnidaria. Okay. Then comes the Ctenophora. Yes. Then comes the Ctenophora. And then Platyhelminth is there. Platyhelminths. Then comes the Esculminth. Am I right? Annelida will be there. Arthropoda will be there. Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, and then comes the Chordata. These are the phylums that we have. Now, when you talk about this Porifera, what level of organization is there? Of course, the cellular level of organization. Multicellular eukaryotic body is there, but there is no tissue. Only cells are there. Now, when you talk about Cnidaria and Ctenophora, they have tissue level of organization. When you talk about Platyhelminths, organ level of organization is there. And from Esculminth to Chordata, it is the organ system level of organization. This is about their level of organization. Now, when you talk about their habitat, right? Now when you talk about their habitat, you know that these organisms, right, mainly they are aquatic. Initially they are aquatic. Later on you will also see some parasites, right, which will even start living within the human body or in other hosts as well. Then you will see, you know, they will start moving towards the land as well. So diversity we will see. Right? What are we going to see? We are going to see the diversity. So as per that, these respiratory organs, they vary. Clear, bache? As per that respiratory organs, they vary. Is that clear? Is that clear? So till Esculminth, okay, from Porifera to Esculminth, when you talk about the respiratory organ, it is nothing but the general body surface, right? It is nothing but the general body surface through which the exchange of gases will be there, right? Through which the exchange of gases will be there. Now, let's be more specific. When you talk about the poriferans, you know that they just have a multicellular body. They just have the cells. So, in their case, when it comes to the general body surface, so actually it is the plasma lemma. It is actually the plasma membrane from where the exchange of gases is taking place. Yes or no? Can you relate that much? So when you talk about the poriferans, the porifera, you know that it is having the cellular level of organization. Only cells are present there. So if only cells are there, so mainly it is the plasma membrane or the plasma lemma from where the exchange is taking place. Clear, bache? From where the exchange is taking place. Right? And even in Cnidaria and Ctenophora, you know that there are no specific structures. Again, it is the general body surface. So this is what you need to remember. Clear? And now when you move to the Annelida, in the case of Annelida, you'll be having moist cuticle. What will we see here? Again, the cuticle, the body covering. Okay? Cuticle, the body covering. Isn't it? Isn't it, bache? Yes. So now after it, when you talk about the Arthropoda, you know that Arthropoda is the largest phylum of animal kingdom, and here we are going to see the diversity. Okay, so when it comes to Arthropoda, what is it? Largest phylum of animal kingdom, right? Having insects, having arachnids, and other classes are also there. So you know that here you will see the diversity, and yes, Arthropoda is the first phylum where you will see a proper respiratory system. Okay, it is the Arthropoda, which is the first phylum where you are going to see the proper respiratory system. Okay, so here in the case of insects, if you remember, we will see tracheal, right? Tracheal system. Remember, tubes are there. Like you know about the cockroach, right? So in the case of cockroach, if you remember, spiracles are there. Okay, these pores are there, openings are there, spiracles are there. So that spiracles are compared with the external nostrils, right? That spiracles, they are compared with our external nostrils. So from these spiracles, the air will enter, bache, and with the help of the tubes, that is your trachea, further there is the bifurcation, and this air will be transported to the, right, this air will be passed to the body organs. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So in the case of insects, what will you see? In the case of insect, what will you see? Tracheal, right? Tracheal system will be there. You will see the trachea. Is that clear? Is that clear? And then in the case of your arachnids, you can take the example of, in the case of arachnida, you can take the example of spider. So here, what will be there? Book, lungs will be there. Isn't it? Book, lungs will be there. Isn't it? Yes, bache. Yes, bache. And even in the Arthropoda, you will also see book gills. Do check it out. That's your homework. Right? Do let me know the name of the organism, name of the animal where you will see what? Where you will see book gills. Okay? Where you will see what? Book gills. So do check it out. So in Arthropoda, what will you see? You will see the diversity. Now, let's move towards the mollusca. So now when you talk about the mollusca, you know that it is the second largest phylum. And here we are going to see, bache, Ctenidia. Remember Ctenidia. In animal kingdom, we have completed it, isn't it? In animal kingdom, we have completed it, Ctenidia, in mollusca. So Ctenidia, they are what? They are very thin gills. They are very thin, filament, feather-like, you can say that, or filament-like gills they are, right? Something feather-like, they are very thin they are. Okay, and these Ctenidia, they are not just meant for the exchange of gases, but they also help in the excretion. Okay, so it is another important MCQ. That this Ctenidia, it is not just helping in the gaseous exchange, but it is also helping in, yes, but it is also helping in excretion. Okay, it is also helping in excretion. Clear, bache? Yes. And now when you talk about the echinoderms, right, here you have that starfish and all. So in the case of echinoderms, right, general body surface is having some, you know, basically in echinoderms, you will see that general body surface, right? General body surface is having some small structure from where the exchange can occur. But overall, it also varies in echinoderms. So if I talk about all the echinoderms, so you will definitely find tube feet. Okay, what will you see there? Tube feet. So that tube feet, right? That tube feet will help in, it will help in what? It will help in the exchange of gases. Clear, bache? It will help in the exchange of gases. And other than that, right, dermal branchiae. Other than that, dermal branchiae, they are also present. Clear, bache? They are also present. Done? Done? In the hemichordata also you will see, yes, what will you see in hemichordates? Can you tell me? They are also worm-like, na? What will you see in the case of hemichordates? Anyone? Anyone here? What will you see in the case of hemichordates? Quick, give it a try. We have already covered, yes, we have already covered animal kingdom. So tell me, what will you see there? Exactly, you will see pharyngeal gill slits, right? In the case of hemichordata, what will you see? You will see that gill slits by which the exchange of gases will take place. And when it comes to the chordata, again in chordata, there will be the diversity, like your fishes. Fishes are having the gills, right? In the case of amphibians, frog in the larval stages, tadpole is having the gills. Adult frog is having the lungs as well. Skin is also moist there. Buccopharyngeal cavity is there, right? Reptiles are having lungs. Your birds are having lungs. Mammals are having lungs. Clear? Clear? So that's how you have to remember this. So in the chordata also you will see that diversity will be there. So fishes, gills. In the case of amphibians, especially in the case of frog, you know that what will be there? Skin is also there, right, bache? Lungs are also there. Buccopharyngeal, right? Buccopharyngeal cavity is also there, right? So after it, there will be the reptiles. So in the case of reptiles also, lungs. So from reptiles to mammals, you are going to see the lungs. I'm not going to mention it here. Please include it in your notes. Okay, kindly note it down in your notes. Done, bache? So this is about the respiratory organ. So you can see the evolution as well. You can see as per habitat, you know, how we are moving from simplicity to the complexity. Okay, so now if I'm talking about the mammals, let's say we are talking about the human. So you know that we are highly advanced. Okay, so we need a better respiratory organ. Why? Because our metabolism is fast. Our demand is more. Isn't it? Our metabolism is fast, our demand is more. So that is why this type of evolution is there. Earlier organisms, they do not have the complex body, they have the simple body, right? So needs are not that. Needs are also limited. So accordingly, they were managing with the general body surface, but with evolution, with increase in metabolism, with all that things, the demand will also change. So that's how it works. Clear, bache? That's how it works. So up to this part, all clear? Yes, up to this part, all clear? Done? Done. So there are few words that you need to remember. See, if lungs are used for the respiration, then it will be your pulmonary respiration. What type of respiration will be there? Pulmonary respiration. If skin is used for the respiration, then it will be cutaneous respiration. What is the word? It will be cutaneous. If gills are involved, then it will be branchial. Right, bache? Then it will be branchial. Clear? So pulmonary, cutaneous and branchial type of respiration. And if it is buccopharyngeal cavity, so you can simply say buccopharyngeal respiration is there. If it is the trachea, like in the case of insects, so it will be your tracheal system. What is it? Then it will be your tracheal system. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Or tracheal, yes. System is tracheal, but the respiration will be your tracheal respiration. Done? So that's what you need to remember. Fine. So the meaning of respiration clear. All that 5 steps are clear. So the first one is the breathing. Second one is the diffusion of gases across alveolar membrane. Third one is the transport of gases from blood to the body tissue. Fourth one is again the diffusion. Diffusion of gases in between blood and tissue. And finally, it is the utilization of oxygen by the cells. Clear, bache? Utilization of oxygen by the cells. So that's what you need to remember. Done? That's what you need to remember. So this is all about this respiration part. Okay, bache? This is all about this respiration part, right? So other than that, what you need to understand one more thing, that what is the meaning of direct respiration and what is the meaning of indirect respiration. Do you know about it? Yes, that what is direct respiration and what is indirect respiration. What is the meaning of direct respiration and the indirect respiration? Quick. Yes, quick. With the help of fluid. Bache Aliza, we have just started the breathing and exchange of gases, and as of now we are talking about the direct and the indirect respiration. Tell me, what is the meaning of direct respiration and the indirect respiration? Give it a try, quick. See, when it is the direct respiration, it does not involve, yes, it does not involve any respiratory organ, any special respiratory organ or blood. Okay? So, neither blood nor respiratory organ is involved here. Okay, so directly with the environment there is the exchange of gases, directly with the atmosphere there is an exchange of gases. Okay, so gases are exchanged. So this is what you can write down, that gases are exchanged through general body surface. Okay, they are exchanged through general body surface by diffusion. isn't it? Diffusion will be there. So now in the indirect respiration, of course, you know that there will be the special respiratory organ and the blood is involved there. Isn't it? And here, right? Isn't it, bache? Yes or no? Isn't it? So here, as I said, that gases are exchanged through general body surface by diffusion, but here you will be having special structures, right? You can see the skin here, you can see the lungs here, right? You can see the buccopharyngeal cavity here, isn't it? Isn't it? So when it comes to the direct respiration, you know that we have different examples. You have the examples of porifera, you have the examples of coelentrates, you have the examples of worms. Okay, okay. So can I write it here? So we have the examples of porifera, cnidaria, right? Your worms, that is your flatworm, esculminth, they are also involved here, and insects are also involved, right? Insects are also the part of direct respiration. Clear, bache? Insects are also the part of direct respiration. Clear? Yes. So specifically I have mentioned the insects, not all the arthropod, just the insects here. Okay. Yes, right? So when it comes to the indirect respiration, see some arthropods like your crustaceans are the part of this indirect respiration. Your mollusca are the part of indirect respiration. You know that cutaneous, pulmonary, branchial, they all are involved here. Fine, they all are involved here. So here, this part is very important. This part, insect part. This part is very important, right? Many times students, they get confused that in the case of insects, when we have tracheal system, then how can we say it is the direct respiration? Can you explain this part? Yes. When we know that in the case of insects, we have the tracheal system. What do we have here? We have the tracheal system. So then how can we say that it is the part of direct respiration? Tell me. Tell me. Anyone? That when you know that insects are having the tracheal system, then how can we say that they are the part of direct respiration? It's important. Question can come from this part. No idea. Wow, yeah, very honest reply. Nice. I like it. No idea. Okay. See, it's very simple. As I said that when you talk about the insects, okay, when you talk about the insects, I told you that there will be the spiracles. You know that they are like in the case of cockroach, we have 10 pairs of spiracles. If you know it, very good. Otherwise, please note down. Like 10 pairs of spiracles are there in the cockroach. So let me explain it with the help of this example. Okay, so spiracles are just like the external nostrils. So air will enter through these spiracles. Now next to it, you are going to see some tube-like structures. Right? What will you see here? You will see some tube-like structure. So here in the case of cockroach, that is our insect, here hemolymph, right? The body fluid here. You know that here in the case of cockroach, that blood is hemolymph basically. Hemolymph is playing no role in transport of gases. Okay, hemolymph is playing no role in transport of gases. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? It is playing no role in the transport of gases here. So the air will simply from spiracles, it will enter in trachea, and from that trachea, from the tube-like structure, it will be exchanged with the tissue, with the organ there. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So there is no involvement of any special structure. Simply by our diffusion, exchange will occur. Clear? No blood is involved there. Fine, no blood is involved there. Air is entering, air will go here, and the exchange will be done. Okay, exchange will be done. Clear, bache? Eliza, we will see. And Eliza, there is see, rather than focusing on this thing that whether it will be a one shot or not, please try to focus here and learn something. Okay, done, bache? So that's what you need to remember. So this is all about the respiratory organ of the respiratory organs here. Clear, bache? So now next to it, what we need to start? We need to start the mammals. Of course, we need to talk about the mammals. Okay, so of course we are going to talk about the lungs. Done. So here you guys can see the examples, I will share the PDF in our official Telegram group, right? So you can download this particular PDF from our official Telegram group, that is Unacademy NEET English. Okay, so see, this is the diagram. Yes, this is the diagram. Okay, so this is the human respiratory system. So if I talk about the human respiratory system, first of all, I'll give you the general idea, right? So you know that we have external nostrils. We will discuss about these parts, but first of all, let's focus here. Let's talk about that particular path. Actually, what is happening? You know that we are going to breathe in and we are going to breathe out. We know it very well, isn't it? Isn't it? So from these external nostrils, air will come in and then comes this particular nasal cavity, isn't it? Then comes this nasal cavity, this complete nasal cavity. So from external nostril, air will pass to this nasal cavity, yes or no? Yes or no? And then here, somewhere here, right? This is the nasal cavity. See, external nostril, external nares, external nostril, air will enter. This is your nasal cavity, right? It is divided with the help of the septum into two chambers. Then comes your internal nares. Okay, internal nares. So from this internal nares, your air will be passed to the pharynx. Okay, where will your air pass? It will pass to the pharynx. And if you remember this part, that pharynx is having three parts and the trick here is no. Okay, pharynx is having three parts and the trick here is what? Trick here is node, nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. And finally that air will enter in the larynx, right, through the opening glottis. Larynx is having the opening which is glottis. Air will enter here in larynx and then to the trachea, then to the bronchi, bronchioles, and finally, you know that alveoli, which is the primary site for the exchange of gases. Clear, bache? Which is the primary site for the exchange of gases. So actually this is the flow. Okay, actually this is the flow. So from external nostril, air will enter, then from internal nares to the pharynx, to the larynx, to the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and this is the alveoli, right? These are some thin walled sac-like structure from where the exchange of gases will occur. And then this air will be taken by blood, right, to the tissues, and then the diffusion and rest steps will be done there. Okay? Okay? So that's what we need to understand. So here you can see the pair of lungs which is present here in the thoracic cavity, right? This diaphragm is dividing this thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. So this is what we are going to discuss next. So any doubt? Yes, bache? Any doubt? If there is any doubt, do let me know. Done? Okay. So let's start the human respiratory system. Let's start the human respiratory system. Okay? Chalo. So as I said, firstly, pair of nostrils. What do we have? And these nostrils are also known as nares, external nares. So we have pair. Okay, we have pair of external nostrils just. We have pair of external nostril just above the upper lip. Right? Just above the upper lip. So that is why here we can use the word dirhinous condition. What type of condition do we have? Because we have a pair of external nares. So it is dirhinous condition. This is the word that we use. Okay, this is the word that we use. It is dirhinous condition because we have the pair of these nostrils. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So now the air will be carried to the nasal chamber, to the nasal cavity with the help of a nasal passage. Yes or no? The air will be carried to this nasal cavity with the help of this nasal passage, isn't it? Isn't it? Chalo, let's imagine this part. Okay, let's say this is our nose. Fine, it is not looking like, but try to understand. Try to imagine it. Just imagine that this is the nose. Okay, this is our nose. So here in the nose, you know that we feel now that there is some structure in between. Yes, in the nose, if you want, I cannot put it, right? I cannot do it right now. I'm on camera, right? I'm in front of camera, so I cannot do it right now. Otherwise, you can put your finger here. You know that the air will enter here, and here you will see that a kind of partition is there, isn't it? A kind of partition is there. Okay, so this nasal cavity, with the help of this nasal septum, it is divided into two chambers, isn't it? It is divided into two chambers, isn't it? These two are your nasal chambers. Yes, these two are what? They are your nasal chamber. So basically in the nasal cavity, you will see with the help of nasal septum, nasal cavity is divided into two chambers. And this nasal septum is nothing but it is the hyaline cartilage, right? We have already discussed about the cartilages in structural organization in animal chapter. Right? In the structural organization in animal chapter, we have discussed this particular part. So here in the nose, this nasal cavity is divided into two with the help of this hyaline cartilage. So here you will be having the nasal chamber. Clear, bache? Right? So you know that initially here, this part, this interior part is having some hair as well, isn't it? This interior part is having hair as well. And this interior portion here is also having the sebaceous glands. It is not just the hair which are present here. Sebaceous glands are also there, right? Sebaceous glands and the hair are present there. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? And if I talk about the epithelium here, right, that what type of epithelium is present? If I talk about the epithelium here, so you know that this epithelium is going to be, yes, we are talking about the nasal cavity, right? So the epithelium here is olfactory. Olfactory epithelium is there. Olfactory, which can sense the smell. You know that with the help of this nose we can do this. Yes or no? With the you know, na, nose is used for this purpose. Yes, right, bache? You know that nose is used for this particular purpose. Okay, so olfactory epithelium is there, which can sense the smell. So this epithelium, this olfactory epithelium, it is lined with, write down, it is lined with pseudo stratified columnar glandular epithelium. Okay, it is lined with pseudo stratified columnar glandular epithelium. Clear, bache? And yes, of course, it is ciliated as well. Right? It is ciliated as well. Done? Done, bache? So, anterior part of the nasal cavity is having these hair and the sebaceous gland, and you know that what is the role of this part? To trap the dust particle. Okay? To trap the dust particle if there is any. Done. So olfactory epithelium is lined with this pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium, and moreover, bache, moreover, here now when air passes from this passage, okay, so atmospheric air. So what is the role of this passage here? It will, you know, bring down the temperature, right? It will basically equalize the temperature of that atmospheric air with the body temperature. Okay, okay, it is going to equalize that. Done, bache? Done, bache? And in the posterior part, of course, we have the bones here, right? 3 bones are present here, but that part is not given in NCERT, so I'm not talking about it, right? So this is the interior portion, this is the posterior portion, even you can feel it here. So you will see 3 bones, and we used to call it as, yes, we used to call it as conche, right? That bones are present. Done? Conche. That are the 3 bones which are present there. Okay, 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 okay. So now, what is next? After this nasal cavity, you know that we have the pharynx, isn't it? Then what do we have? We have the pharynx, yes or no? Tell me, students, quickly. What do we have next? We have the pharynx, right? So when you talk about the pharynx, bache, pharynx is having 3 parts. It's known, right? That is your nasopharynx. Okay, that is your nasopharynx. Your oropharynx is there, right? Then comes your laryngopharynx. So nasopharynx is there, oropharynx is there, and then comes your laryngopharynx. So these are the 3 parts of the pharynx. Okay, what is this? These are the 3 parts of the pharynx. So ultimately, right, the nasal cavity, it will further open up in this nasopharynx. Clear? It will open up here in this nasopharynx. And let me tell you, right? It will open up in this nasopharynx through internal nostril, right? Through internal nostril. So external nostril, nasal cavity, then there will be the internal nostril. From this internal nostril, that air will be passed to this nasopharynx. So that's why I am saying that nasal cavity will open up here in nasopharynx through the internal nostril. Is that clear? Yes, bache? Is that clear? So this is how it will open. Okay, this is how it will open. And yes, you can note it down. Even in another chapter also we will discuss this, that in nasopharynx you are also having the opening of eustachian tube. Fine, we are also having the opening of eustachian tube. Clear, bache? Opening of eustachian tube is also there in the nasopharynx. Done, bache? Done? Okay, so for internal nostril you also use the word choanae. Do not miss it ever. So internal nostril is also known as choanae. Okay, the bones here are concha, right? But here this is choanae. Clear, bache? So pharynx, 3 parts are there. Okay, in the pharynx we have the 3 parts. Done? Done? So now you know the story, right? The air will come here in this nasopharynx and next to it is the oropharynx. So buccal cavity, you know that buccal cavity is going to open up in this oropharynx. So oropharynx is common. It is common for both, for the food as well, for the air as well. So ultimately this pharynx, the next part is going to be common. It is going to be common for both, for the food as well and for the air as well. Done? Done? So from this laryngopharynx, you know that next to it will be your larynx. What is it? It is larynx. And this larynx is nothing, it is the voice box. It is a cartilaginous voice box. Okay, it is the cartilaginous voice box. So this is what we need to understand now. Now see, let's say this is your laryngopharynx, right? This is the dorsal side of our body, this is the ventral side of our body, and this is the lateral side. I have explained it so many times, right? I don't even remember, but I have actually explained it so many times. So again, I'm telling you, this part is the dorsal side, this part is the ventral side, this part is the lateral side. You know that our trachea is present here towards our ventral side. You know that much, yes or no? Right, here you have the sternum, the ribs are there. They are going to protect this thoracic cavity. But ultimately here we have our lungs. Okay, here we have our lungs. So now your laryngopharynx, as I said, let's say this side is the dorsal side, this side is the ventral side. Just imagine it, okay? So laryngopharynx, as I said, it will open up in larynx through the opening which is known as glottis, right? The opening here is glottis. And from this larynx, right, air will pass to your trachea. Remember, air will pass to your trachea. And just behind this larynx here, what do you have? You have the esophagus, which is your food pipe. Trachea is your windpipe and the esophagus here is what? It is the food pipe. So, bache, when the food, right, when the food enter here in this pharynx, it should pass to the esophagus, and the opening of esophagus is known as gullet. Yes, opening of esophagus is known as gullet. So, the food should pass here, pass to this food pipe, right? Food should go here. Right? So when we eat food, when we swallow that food, so this glottis will be covered with the cartilaginous flap, right? This glottis will also be covered with this cartilaginous flap, and we used to call it as epiglottis. What's that? That is your epiglottis. So never ever miss this point. Glottis is the opening. Epi means above. Above glottis. Something is present above glottis. So epiglottis is the cartilaginous flap which will cover the glottis. So that's what you need to keep in your mind. Clear, bache? That's what you need to keep in your mind. Okay? Okay? So that is why I'm saying that after pharynx, the air will pass to the larynx. So any doubt? Yes? Any doubt here? And yes, the diagram from NCERT is very important here. The question can come from this part. Right? They can give you this diagram for the naming. So see, this portion is epiglottis. So I hope now you know what is the role of this epiglottis. Done? So next to it, this part here is the larynx. What is it? This is the larynx. And in the case of birds, you know, birds also produce a different type of sound. So that is syrinx. Syrinx is the voice box in the case of birds, right? It is the voice box in the case of birds. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? It is the voice box in the case of birds. Okay? Chaliye. So, larynx. So write down. It's the cartilaginous. It is a cartilaginous box. But it is actually made up of cartilages, like thyroid cartilage is there, right? Your hyaline cartilage, right? Your elastic cartilage. I'm not giving the name individually, but overall, if I have to explain this, so larynx is made up of cartilages. It is not a bony structure. It is made up of what? It is made up of cartilages. So which cartilages are making it? Elastic cartilage as well as your hyaline cartilage, right? Elastic cartilage as well as your hyaline cartilage. So this box is going to make what? It is the one which will produce the sound, bache. Right? It is the one which will produce the sound, bache. Right? Right? So it is the sound box. Clear, bache? It is the sound box. So here you will see thyroid cartilage as well, right? One cercoid cartilage is also there, right? So there are few names. So ultimately, in general, if I skip this part, that which cartilages are making the larynx, so simply you can keep it in your mind that when it comes to the larynx, it is made up of both elastic and the hyaline cartilage. Right? Remember, elastic and the hyaline cartilage both are present. Let me write down. Right? Both elastic and hyaline cartilage present. Is that clear? Yes, bache. Is that clear? Okay. Okay, so in the larynx, this part is important, so please pay attention. So in the larynx, if I talk about the largest cartilage, do you know that that is the thyroid cartilage? It is interesting, that's why I'm telling you. It is not given in NCERT, this is extra. If you want to note it down, you can, otherwise you can skip this part as well. So thyroid cartilage is the largest cartilage of your larynx. Okay, thyroid cartilage, it is the largest cartilage of your larynx, and in the case of males, bache, right? In the case of males, you know that now we use the word Adam's apple, that boys when they attain the puberty, okay, we see the some outgrowth here, we see some projection here, outgrowth here. Do you remember this part? Of course, you know about it, Hannah. Hannah, boys, you have experienced it, that there is a change in your voice. Right, you will see some prominent outgrowth here, and we used to call it as Adam's apple. Right, we used to call it as Adam's apple. So actually, bache, the base of this thyroid cartilage, I told you, it is a kind of U-shaped kind of cartilage. Right, so this thyroid cartilage, its ventral part actually is making that Adam's apple. Okay. Okay, so that Adam's apple is nothing, it is also the part of the cartilage. Okay, it is also the part of the cartilage, and yes, it is kind of C-shaped. Fine, it is kind of C-shaped. Done, bache? Done, bache? And I hope you know that this Adam's apple is the secondary sexual character in the case of males. Remember, it is the secondary sexual character in males. Jaise beard, mustache, same way. This Adam's apple is a secondary sexual character. Okay? Okay, okay, okay. Sure? Sure? Done, bache? Done? So basically, we have this vertebral column here. Yes? We have this vertebral column here, we have the vertebrae here, right? CT, LSC, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccyx. I hope you know about it. Like, see, if this is our vertebral column, so you know that we have CT, LSC, right? Roughly, this is what I'm telling you. CT, LSC, right? That is your cervical vertebrae is there, right? Thoracic is there, okay? Lumbar is there, sacral is there, and then comes the coccyx, the tailbone, isn't it? So when you talk about the cervical vertebrae, they are 7 in number, thoracic is 12, 5, these are 5 fused, and 4 fused means 1. It's more like that, right? See, 7, 12, 5, 5, 4. This 5, this bracket is showing the fusion. So 5 are fused means they are making 1 vertebra. 4 are fused, they are making 1 vertebra, right? So basically, why am I telling you this portion, right? Because we are going to relate it with this larynx as well. We are going to relate it with our thorax bifurcation as well. So when we are saying the larynx, which is the voice box, which will produce the sound, bache, right? The voice box which will produce the sound. Here, as I said, that thyroid is the largest cartilage. Okay, so actually when you talk about this complete structure, this larynx, you know, this cervical vertebrae, so it is present at its, like, see, here you have the cervical vertebrae, right? Here you have the cervical vertebrae. So this larynx lies between 3rd to 6th cervical vertebrae in the case of males. Like, it is like this now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is lying in between 3rd to 6th cervical vertebrae. Like, this is the position. Fine, this is the position. Okay, so I'm just taking one reference. Okay, like if I'm taking the reference of the cervical vertebrae, I'm saying that 3rd to 6th larynx is situated somewhere here in the case of males. In the case of females or in the case of children, it can be little higher as well. So that is the position. That's how you can relate. Clear? That's how you can relate. Getting it? Getting it? It is just for your interest. Done? Done? It's interesting now. See, human body is very interesting. Human body is very interesting. So that should be your motivation, that we want to know more about the human body. Right? Right? So for that, of course, you have to go for the MBBS. You will learn more about the human body. And yes, even after that also, you can enter in the research. Okay, you can discover something new. I think few years back, or I don't remember the exact year, right? So scientists, they discovered that there is one more gland here. Okay, so we can say, bache, there are still many things which are undiscovered in our body. Okay, especially in the case of brain. No doubt we know many things about the brain, but we are not able to understand the complete brain yet. Okay, so it is going to take time. So this is what you can do. That should be your motivation. So don't read it like this, yeah, today we have to finish this chapter. No, don't be like that, ma'am. Are you going to finish it in one shot? Right? Are you going to discuss everything? Are you going to teach us the NCERT? You should feel good that, okay, today I will learn more about the human body. I'm going to learn about the respiratory system today. Okay, that should be your motivation. That I will go to the MBBS college and I'll get to know more things about the same topic. Fine, about the same topic. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Okay? Done? So that's what you have to do. Clear, bache? So this part clear? Yes, this part clear? So in the case of larynx, you will see 2 paired mucosal folds. Okay, in larynx, what do we have? Larynx contain 2 mucosal folds. Okay, and they are, yes, of course, even they are paired. Okay, even they are paired. So in the case of larynx, what are you going to see? What are you going to see? You will see 2 paired mucosal folds. 2 paired mucosal folds, like upper fold, which is also known as false chords. Okay, and second one is your lower fold, which is the true vocal cords. Actually, here you are talking about what? You are talking about the vocal cords, which are going to help in the sound production. So actually, it is the lower vocal cord, true vocal cord, that will produce sound. Okay, that will produce sound. And this one is just going to provide moisture to, right? It will just provide moisture to lower fold. Are you getting it? It will just provide moisture to lower fold. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Sure? Sure. So it is the lower fold which is going to take part in the sound production. Fine? Fine. And it is having the yellow elastic tissue. Okay, bache, it is having the yellow elastic tissue. This is what you can note down. See, that is why I always advise that before starting the human physiology, do check structural organization in animals, right? You should know about it. You should know about the structural organization in animal. You should know, that what is this cartilage, what is the bone, what is the meaning of that epithelium, what is simple epithelium, compound epithelium, because then you will understand human physiology in a better way. Now, bache, when you talk about the males, in the case of males, you know that these vocal cords, they are, yes, these vocal cords, they are thicker, right? They are thicker, and in the case of females, it is going to be thin. So that is why in the case of males, when their voice is having low pitch, in the case of females, their voice is having the high pitch. So the pitch depends upon the thickness and tension of the vocal cord. Clear? So in the case of males, the vocal cords, they are going to be thicker and they are going to be larger as well. Okay, so that's why in the case of males, the sound is having low pitch. The opposite will be there in the case of females. So this is what you need to remember. Okay, this is what you need to remember. So this is about the larynx. What is it? It is about the larynx. So you can see the diagram here as well. Fine. You guys can see the diagram here as well. So see, nares, next to it is your nasal cavity, right, bache? And then see how the air will pass. Okay, air will pass. This is the buccal cavity. So see, the pharynx is the common region. In NCERT, they didn't mention nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. In the NCERT, they have simply mentioned, right, bache? In the NCERT, they have simply mentioned the pharynx. So pharynx is what? It is the common passage, right? Pharynx is what? Pharynx is the common passage. It is the common passage for the food and the air, right? So this is the epiglottis. See the cartilaginous flap. Can you see this part? Can you see this part? So see, air should enter here, right? Air should enter here. This is your glottis. So when food will come, food should go like this. Okay, food should go like this. So epiglottis is going to cover your glottis. This epiglottis then will cover your glottis. Done? It will then cover your glottis. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? Yes. So see, different types of cartilages are present here. I told you already. So yes, in that detail, you don't need this part, that what is the role of this thyroid cartilage, this and that. But I have mentioned it. Okay, so these are the different type of cartilages which are present. So I'll share the notes. There is no need to even, revise it, right? Whatever is important, I told you that. Okay, so here you can see this diagram, right? This is the anterior view of the larynx. Look at the cartilages here. This is your hyoid bone. I hope you know about the hyoid bone. In the chapter digestion and absorption, I told you about it. It is the U-shaped bone, bache. It is the tongue bone. It is also known as tongue bone. It supports your tongue. Fine. It supports your tongue. It is the tongue bone. It supports your tongue. Okay. Okay. This is the speciality of this bone, that it is not articulating with any other bone of the skull. This bone is not attached to any other bone. It is not fixed to any, it is not fixed to. It is itself not fixed to any other bone of the skull. So actually there are the ligaments which are going to fix this U-shaped bone to the skull bones. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So see the cartilages, different type of cartilages. So next to this larynx is the trachea, and that's what we need to understand now. Okay, so this is the side view as well. So you can see these false vocal cords, also known as ventricular folds, and this one is the true vocal cord here. Fine, you can see the true vocal cord here. But let him spam, right, Manoj, from wherever you are. I know you are getting money for doing all that things, right? It is not going to affect us. There are different edtech companies. Ultimately, what we all are doing, we are trying to help students. Okay, and we are also doing the same. Might be you are finding some other organization good. Okay, even they are good. But if they are good, that doesn't mean we are bad. Okay, so chill. Don't waste your time. कोई फायदा नहीं होगा यहाँ पे time waste करके और reactions देख के. ठीक है? So, guys, is it done? So this is the hyoid bone. I told you already, na? So just look at that epiglottis. Look at that part. In NCERT, it is not so clear. This part is not so clear, but you can understand it in this way. Then this is that U-shaped bone which is going to support your tongue. So now next to it is your trachea, which is also known as windpipe, right? Next to it is what? It is the trachea, which is also known as windpipe. Now let's talk about this. So bache, you know that, right? This trachea, ultimately it will bifurcate. Like this is the trachea. It will divide into primary bronchi, you know. Wait. Yes. So it will divide into primary bronchi, and then further it will divide into secondary. Further it will divide into tertiary. Further it will divide into terminal bronchi. Further bronchioles will come. So ultimately all this division will be there in the case of lungs. Okay, in the case of lungs. Wait, let me show you this part. See, these are your lungs, the pair of lungs we have. So you guys can see it here. Look at this diagram. This is your tube-like structure trachea. It is bifurcating. So primary, further secondary, further tertiary. So ultimately this is something, this tracheal tree, or you can say that this respiratory tree is the one which is forming the lungs. Okay, it is the one which is forming the lungs. So that is how it is present. Done, bache? That is how it is present in these lungs. Clear? Clear, bache? So that's what we need to understand. So when you talk about the trachea, yes, it's a tube-like structure. What is this trachea? Trachea is a tube-like structure. And this tube-like structure, bache, it is having, you know, a length of near about 12 centimeter. Okay, when you talk about this trachea, it's a tube. Fine. What is it? It's a tube. And if you talk about its length, the length is approximately, right? Length is approximately 12 centimeter. Fine. Length is approximately 12 centimeter. Now, bache, this tube is covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Okay. It is covered with what? It is covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Ring-like structures. So actually, let's say if this is the tube, right? Let's say if this is the tube, okay? So if this is a ring, this ring is covering my finger, right? It is going to cover my finger, of course, right? And now let's say if it is C-shaped. So if it will be C-shaped, it is not going to cover my entire finger. This part will be free. So same is the case here in the trachea. So trachea is having C-shaped cartilaginous rings. What type of rings are there? C-shaped cartilaginous rings. And why they are present? Right? Because you know that when we are going to breathe in or we are going to breathe out, pressure difference will be created. Isn't it? Pressure difference will be created. So if pressure difference will be created, it can also, if air will enter with more pressure, it can also collapse the trachea. Isn't it? It can also collapse the trachea, and we don't want that. So that's why in our body, this trachea, it is covered with the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. And now you have to tell me why not? Why not the complete rings? This is your homework. Okay, why C-shaped rings? Why not complete rings? This is what you have to tell me. Clear, bache? Clear, bache? So now this trachea is extending up to mid-thoracic cavity. Okay, see, this long tube extending up to chest cavity. That is your thoracic cavity, mid-thoracic cavity. And at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae, it will bifurcate into primary bronchi. I'm repeating this part again. What is going to happen here? Your trachea is extending. Now, I told you that our vertebral column, this is our curved vertebral column, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccyx. This is what we have. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccyx. These are the vertebrae that we have. Cervical is there, then comes the thoracic. Now we are comparing, right? We are comparing. So actually, bache, your thoracic vertebrae, they are total 12 in number. Right, in the case of humans, these thoracic vertebrae, they are total 12 in number. So let's say these are the thoracic vertebrae, let's say. So I am saying that your trachea at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this. At the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae, it will bifurcate into primary bronchi. That is the meaning. Right? That is the meaning here. Like we consider the, yes, bache, we consider the, what we consider? We consider that, no, landmarks. Ki, okay, right, that is a particular place near to my place, right? You can use that location and then I will come and pick you up, something like that. I hope you all are aware of it, right? So same is the case here. We are saying that when we are talking about the thoracic vertebrae, at the level of 5th thoracic vertebrae, your trachea will divide into two, right? Your trachea will divide into these bronchi. Clear बच्चे? The trachea will divide into bronchi. Clear बच्चे? Clear. Sure. So see, guarded by C-shaped, dorsally incomplete, hyaline cartilaginous rings. So even this is what you need to remember. MCQ can come from this part as well, right? So these are C-shaped cartilaginous rings. They are also made up of hyaline cartilage. Clear? They are also made up of hyaline cartilage. And when you are talking about the larynx, larynx is having hyaline cartilage as well and the elastic cartilage as well. Done, bache? Clear, bache? Okay, see, divides at the level of fifth thoracic. So up to this part, any doubt? Up to this part, any doubt? Yes? Any doubt here? Sure? So now if I talk about its epithelium, like here they are mentioning the epithelium now. So bache, trachea is lined with pseudo stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium. Okay, it is also glandular. Glandular means it is secretory as well. Fine. So pseudo stratified means it is single layered but looks like a multi-layered epithelium. Ciliated cells are there. Columnar means tall and cylinder, and they are having the cilia, right? So cilia will, if there will be anything in that air, the dust is there, so that will be trapped, right, by the mucus, and then cilia will help in that movement and you can just spit it out. Okay, bache? So pseudo stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium is there. Okay, pseudo stratified ciliated columnar glandular epithelium is there. Fine. So that's what you need to keep in your mind. Done, bache? Done. So that is what trachea is. Clear? So now, bache, next to it is the tracheal tree that we need to understand, and then everything will be clear to you. So see, this is the side view. This is your trachea, the tube-like structure. Fine. This is your trachea, the tube-like structure. So now we'll talk about the respiratory tree. Okay, and then all your doubts will be clear. Fine, all your doubts will be clear. Done, bache? Sure. So any doubt? Any doubt? Okay, so trachea will form primary bronchi. This is your respiratory tree. Then primary bronchi will divide into secondary bronchi. Then tertiary bronchi. Then terminal bronchi will be there. Fine, terminal bronchi will be there. So trachea, primary, secondary, tertiary, terminal, and that bronchi is further they will form, bache, bronchioles. So further there will be the lobular bronchiole. What will be there? There will be the lobular bronchiole, and after the lobular bronchiole we'll be having the terminal bronchiole. Okay, we'll be having the terminal bronchiole. Then respiratory bronchiole will be there. Right. Then comes your alveolar ducts. And finally, that alveoli will be there. So this is your respiratory tree. Clear, bache? This is your respiratory tree. Now what you have to understand. So ultimately, let's say these are the lungs. Okay. Right. So as I said that at the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae, this is how it will divide. So see, further it is dividing. Okay. Further it is dividing. Further it is dividing. Further it is dividing. Finally, some sac-like structures will be formed, which are the alveoli, the primary site for the exchange of gases. Actually, this is how it is working. Done, bache? This is how it is present. So now from trachea, right, even we have to start from the external nares. right? Like we will start from external nares. External nares, nasal cavity, internal nares, pharynx, larynx, trachea, then primary bronchi, secondary, tertiary, terminal, lobular, and then terminal bronchioles up to this part, right? So up to this part, okay, up to this part, from external nares to terminal bronchiole, this is the conducting zone. What is it? It is the conducting zone. And when you talk about this respiratory bronchiole, alveolar duct and alveoli, they are actually the exchange zone. Okay, this part is actually the exchange zone. Okay, it is actually the respiratory zone. This is the part which will bring air to this exchange zone or to this respiratory zone. Fine. Done, bache? Done. So this one is the conducting zone. This one is the respiratory zone. Is that clear? Is that clear? So actually the exchange of gases will take place here. This is your complete respiratory tree. Okay. So actually the exchange of gases will take place here, and this will just bring that air to the exchange zone. Okay, bache? Okay, bache? So its function is to filter, warm and moisten the air. Filter, warm and moisten the air and bring it to or conduct it to respiratory zone. Clear, bache? So conduct it to respiratory zone. That's the point. Done? That's the point. Clear, bache? Okay, or simply you can say conduct it to the lungs. Done. So ultimately it is not just conducting the air, it is not just bringing the air to that lungs, it is also filtering it if there is any impurity, any dust. It is also warming it, it is bringing that outside air, that atmospheric air to the body temperature, and even the moisture will be added. So yes, even this part can be asked as a question. So this is important, you should know about it. Fine, bache, you should know about it. Done? Done? Yes. So from this part to this part, if I talk about the type of epithelium, this is also important. Please pay attention. From trachea to terminal bronchi, right? This complete part, it is made up of pseudo-stratified, ciliated, columnar, glandular epithelium. This is what you need to remember. Okay? This is what you need to remember. Okay? So pseudo-stratified, ciliated, columnar, glandular epithelium. Now, bache, another point. I told you that trachea is covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. This is what I just said. The trachea is covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. So you're up to your initial bronchiole, that C-shaped cartilaginous rings are present. Okay? Okay? That C-shaped cartilaginous rings are present. Fine. So trachea, bronchi, initial bronchioles, they all are supported by that incomplete cartilaginous rings. Fine. They all are supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings. Done? Done? So this is your respiratory tree. Okay, this is your respiratory tree. So next to it is the lungs, our main respiratory organ, the paired respiratory organ. It is the one which is endodermal in origin. Do you know the meaning of this particular line? Right, endodermal in origin means it is made up of the germ layer endodermis. Right, endodermis is going to form that. So lungs, they are also known as pulmonous. So if lungs are involved, pulmonary respiration it is. So they are present in airtight chamber. Right, anatomically airtight chambered it is. So let me explain this part. Okay, let me explain this part. So what are we going to do now? We are going to discuss about the lungs. Fine. Done, bache? We are going to discuss about the lungs. So what do you know about lungs? Tell me quickly. What do you know about lungs? See, lungs may, you know that we have, they are paired, right? They are paired. So you have right lung, you have left lung, isn't it? So right lung is your two-lobed or three-lobed. It is three-lobed, right? Right lung is your three-lobed, isn't it? Isn't it? When it comes to the right lung, it is three-lobed, and when it comes to the left lung, it is two-lobed, right? It is two-lobed. Or at the time of birth, at the time of birth, okay, lungs are spongy and pinky, isn't it? It's pink colored and spongy structure, right? What type of structure it is? It is soft, spongy, pinkish, and even elastic at birth, at the time of birth. Clear, bache? At the time of birth. Now when you talk about the right lung, as I said, three lobes are there, and here I just said two lobes are there. And moreover, bache, in right lung, na, this is a narrower and, just a minute, sorry, it is shorter and broader. It is shorter and broader. And when you talk about the left lung, I'll show you the diagram. It is taller and narrower. It's narrow and taller. And moreover, here no cardiac notch. Here cardiac notch present. Okay, so now let me explain this part. See, you know that in our body we have the cavities. Okay, I'll make a very bad diagram, but again it will explain everything. Okay, in our body, you know that we have the cavities, isn't it? We have the cavities in our body. This is the thoracic cavity. Okay, this part is the thoracic cavity, and this part is the abdominal cavity, isn't it? This part is the abdominal cavity. Now both these cavities, they are separated by a muscular structure. Okay, both the cavities, they are separated by a muscular structure, and this muscular structure, which is a unique feature of mammals, it is known as your diaphragm. It is known as your diaphragm. Here you need to know about the diaphragm, because diaphragm is very important for the breathing. Okay, diaphragm is very important for the breathing. So this part is the thoracic cavity where your, yes bache, this part is your thoracic cavity where your pair of lungs, it is present. So now I just said that when you talk about the right lung, it is going to be shorter, but it is broader. Okay, but when you are talking about the left lung, it is having, it is narrower and the taller. It is narrower and the taller. I know the diagram is bad, but here, let me explain it, then you will like it. So this is how further bifurcation is there. This is how further bifurcation is there. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? So now you know that in the abdominal cavity, just below the diaphragm here, do you know that? Right? Even this diaphragm is not dividing it equally. At this diaphragm is like something like this. Right? It's dome shaped. Normally we used to say, na, it is dome shaped. Yes or no? I hope you know about it. Whenever we talk about this diaphragm, we used to say that it is a dome-shaped structure. Actually, it's a muscular structure. It's a muscular tissue which is dividing your thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. That's what we discussed. Now, you know that just below this diaphragm, towards the right side, we have to accommodate the right lobe of liver. Isn't it? Isn't it? We have to accommodate the right lobe of liver, which is bigger. So, of course, it is little bit up. So, that's why it is broader. Right? It is shorter, but it is broader. Now, here, the space between lungs. Can you see that? There is a space in between the lungs. That space is known as mediastinum. What is the word that we use for that space, bache? It is mediastinum. What is the word that we use for that particular space? The space between lung is known as mediastinum. And here in this mediastinum, bache, your heart is present. Right? What is present? Your heart is present. And if you know that your heart is placed in center, but a bit pushed towards the left side, isn't it? Heart is placed in center. So space between two, heart is placed in between two lungs, little bit pushed towards the left side, and the space present between two lungs, it is known as mediastinum. So heart is present here in this mediastinum in the center, but a bit pushed towards the left side, okay? Okay, it is bit pushed towards the left side. So it is pushed towards the left side. That is why in the left side here, right here, this is the cardiac notch. In the left lung here, that's why we see this cardiac notch. Are you getting it? That's why we see this cardiac notch there. Are you getting it? Yes or no? Are you getting it? And it is not just the heart is present in the mediastinum. Of course not. You know that. When you are talking about the windpipe, trachea, you know that dorsal to your esophagus is also there. Isn't it? Dorsal to your esophagus is also there. Right? So here you will see the part of esophagus as well. You will see your other glands as well. Can you tell me the name of that glands? Yes, your thymus is also there. Right? Your thymus is also there. Your lymphatic duct, your thoracic duct is also there. So this is a space, mediastinum, where you will see your heart, you will see the thymus, you will see the thoracic duct, you will see the esophagus and others also. Clear? Clear? So let me relate it with the digestive system a bit. So if you remember that esophagus will open up here in the stomach. Remember? Remember? So here in the abdominal cavity, we have the stomach also. So esophagus will enter through this diaphragm. So bache, this point here is nothing. It is the hiatus, right? It is the hiatus, this space here, this point here. Just say this is a diaphragm that we have now. So in the mid of the diaphragm, there is a hiatus through which that esophagus will come down. Okay? Okay? So that's why you're three-lobed, right? It is. So two fissures are going to divide it. Two fissures are going to divide it into three lobes. And here you have only one fissure. Done, bache, shorter and broader, no cardiac notch. So that's what you need to remember. So as I said, lungs at the time of birth, they are spongy, pinkish, elastic and soft at the time of birth. Okay, at the time of birth. So this point clear? First of all, tell me this point clear. And there are another points also which we need to discuss about the lungs. But as of now, tell me. So see this structure. So see this fissure, horizontal fissure, and this one is your oblique fissure. Yes, this is dividing the right lung into three parts, into three lobes: superior, middle and inferior or lower. And here only oblique fissure is there. Done. So this is the mediastinum. Here you have the heart. So heart is bit pushed towards the left side. So left lung is having the cardiac notch. So if I'll be the examiner, I'm going to ask you this question, that cardiac notch is present in which pair, right? In which lung? Left or the right one? Clear? Left or the right one? Done, bache? Done? Sure, sure, sure. Are you sure? So right lung, so you can also include here, right, in your notes, that right lung is having two fissures which are dividing it into three lobes. Two fissures are there. One is your horizontal, another is your oblique. But here only oblique fissure is there, which is dividing it into two lobes. Done, bache? Done. So now when you talk about the lungs, see, I told you that lungs are anatomically, right? Anatomically, lungs are present in an airtight chamber. That's what I just said. They are present in an airtight chamber. Okay. So let me explain this part. But before that, yes, one more important thing. See, bache, when you talk about the lungs, na, lungs. So lungs are also covered with a membrane. Do you know that? Lungs are also covered with the membrane. Do you know that? They are also covered with the membrane. Like that membrane is very close to that lungs, right? So this outer membrane, it is the pleural membrane actually. So outer pleural membrane, also known as your parietal pleural membrane, right? This is the outer or the parietal pleural membrane, right? So the inner one, this inner one is your, of course, inner or visceral pleural membrane. So the word is pleural. Jaise heart is covered with pericardium, lungs are covered with the pleural membrane. So outer pleural membrane, also known as parietal pleural membrane, outer pleural membrane, also known as parietal pleural membrane, and here you have inner or the visceral pleural membrane. So this inner one is very closely associated with the lungs. And here, bache, in between these two, you will see pleural cavity. Okay, in between these two, you will see pleural cavity having pleural fluid. Okay, it is having pleural cavity, having pleural fluid. Done, bache? Pleural cavity having pleural fluid. And let me tell you, bache, this pleural fluid is going to reduce the friction for the smooth movement of lungs. Fine. So that's how your lungs are covered with the membrane. It is nowhere associated with the anatomical chamber. That also I'll explain. But as of now, tell me, this part clear? This part clear? Done, bache? Now see, I said that this anatomical lungs are present. Just a minute. Uh-oh. So, bache, see, I'm saying that it is present in an airtight chamber. So, you know this. See, dorsally, this is the dorsal side. You know that dorsally, right? Dorsal side is having the vertebrae, isn't it? Dorsal side is having the vertebrae, isn't it? Isn't it? Ventral side is having the sternum. Lateral side is having the ribs, right? And the lower side or the posterior side, fine, lower side and the posterior side is having the diaphragm. So it is covered from all the sides, yes or no? It is covered from all the sides, yes or no? So that is why we are saying that anatomically it is an airtight chamber. You can see it here, right? So dorsally by vertebral column, ventrally by sternum, laterally by ribs, and lower side is covered with your dome-shaped diaphragm. Lower side is covered with what? It is covered with dome-shaped diaphragm. Clear, bache? It is covered with dome-shaped diaphragm. And as I said, for the lungs, you also use the word, right? Pulmons. Okay? Okay? So outer parietal pleural membrane, also known as pleuron, inner visceral pleural membrane. Clear, bache? Pleural cavity, pleural fluid is there. So all these points are important. Fine, all these points are important. Done, bache? Done, done, done. Yes. Chalo, so now I'll give you one question. Fine, I'll give you one question here. Just a minute. The question is that here it is written that dorsally it is covered by vertebral column. So you have to tell me which vertebrae are going to cover this. Right? Do we have cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae? What is it? Exactly what is it? This is what you need to tell me. Done, bache? This is what you need to tell me. Okay? Okay? Sure? Done? So that's your homework. You have to tell it to me in the, yes, in the comment section. So now, another point from NCERT. See. Look at this diagram first. So you can see that membranes, right? Visceral pleura, pleural cavity, parietal pleura, even you also use the word pleuron, and here you guys can see the transpulmonary pressure as well, right? Internal intrapulmonary pressure as well, right? This is what you guys can see. Now there is one line in NCERT, I hope you are aware of it, that anatomically this setup of lungs in thorax is such that, right, this line is given in NCERT, that anatomically that setup in lungs in thoracic cavity is such that see, now you know that lungs are present in thoracic cavity. You know that lungs are covered with pleural membrane. Now these lungs, right, the setup is in such a way that if there is any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, right, now you know this portion is our thoracic cavity, then comes the abdominal cavity. So if there is any change, in the volume of the thoracic cavity, it is going to alter the volume of the lungs. There is no way out that we can directly alter the volume of the lungs. We can directly change the volume of the lungs. There is no way out, right? If we want to change the volume of the lungs, we have to change the volume of the thoracic cavity. So this setup is designed in our body in such a way. Okay, this is what written in NCERT as well. Okay, this is what written in NCERT, that anatomical setup of lungs in thorax, or anatomical setup of lungs in thorax is such that any change in the volume of thoracic cavity will be reflected in the change in the volume of your lungs as well. Let me write it properly. Okay, that anatomically that setup of thoracic cavity, the setup of lungs in thoracic cavity is such that, right, anatomically the setup of lungs in thoracic cavity is such that any change, if there is any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, it will alter pulmonary volume as well, right? It will alter pulmonary volume as well. There is no way to, you know, alter the pulmonary volume separately. Okay, there is no way to alter the pulmonary volume separately. So if there is any change in the volume of thoracic cavity, it will be reflected in the change in the volume of pulmonary cavity as well. And this is something which is very, very, very important for the breathing. Okay, this is given in NCERT. This is given in NCERT. So it is something very important. Just say, I'll quote you one example. Okay, I'll quote one example here. Let's say, okay, let's say, like, you know, these things are directly proportional to each other. It is something like that. Just say, let's say, if you will study daily, if you will study consistently, of course, there will be a change. There will be a change in your marks as well. Let's say currently you are scoring 550 marks, right? In your mock test, let's say currently you are scoring 550 marks only, right? But now you have started studying properly, you are taking proper classes, you are revising properly. So obviously we will see that there is a change in your marks, right? And now you are scoring 650 marks. So if you are studying properly, you are getting good marks. It is something like that. It is something like that. You cannot get good marks if you will not study properly. Right. You can cheat, but that is not the case that we are going to consider. So these two things are dependent on each other. Same is the case here, right? Okay. जैसे in love stories these days, है ना? जैसे kids like you, they are in relationship, they are having the love stories, so they are thinking, oh my God, if my partner is getting success, it means it is my success as well, right? If they are succeeding, even I am succeeding, which is not true, right? Which is not true, but this is what you think, है ना? This is what you consider. So that's how you can relate it, that's how you can understand it. Fine. So these two things are dependent on each other. Any change in the volume of thoracic cavity will change the lung volume. and this is what we are going to understand when we will start the mechanism of breathing. So this part is given in NCERT. Do highlight it, do read it, revise it again and again. Fine, do read it, revise it again and again. So that's what, as of now, this is what you need to understand. Clear, bache? Clear, clear, clear. So any other doubt? Any other doubt? Sure? Sure, conducting zone, this zone, that zone, all clear? All clear? Okay, so now I said, right, see, this is what I just said, that our lungs are soft, spongy, elastic. This is what I just said. But we didn't discuss about any muscles here in lungs, isn't it? We didn't talk about any muscles here in lungs, isn't it? Isn't it? No doubt our lungs are spongy, but they are what? Right? They are spongy, but they are without muscles. Lungs, no doubt, they are spongy, but they are what? They are without muscles. Right? They are without muscles. So if they are without muscles, means they have no part of self-contraction and relaxation. Isn't it? They have no power of self-contraction and self-relaxation. They cannot contract by their own. They cannot relax by their own. Isn't it? Isn't it? So that is why, okay, that is why, right, this setup is there in our body, that if there will be any change in the thoracic cavity volume, it will alter the lung volume. Okay, it will alter the lung volume. Done? So doubt, 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 doubt or doubt. Do you have any doubt? Sure? Sure. So, bache, this is what we are going to cover today. Rest we will discuss in the next class. Okay? In the next class, we will cover all the important topics like pulmonary cavities and pulmonary volumes and capacities, mechanism of breathing, transport or diffusion of gases, transport, exchange, everything we will cover in the next class. Right? So, we will finish this particular chapter in 2 parts. So, now please make the notes, revise it, and I have asked few questions. I want to see the answers in the comment section. Okay, so part 2 is not just the part 2, it is going to contain all the important information. Right? I'm not saying this is not relevant, but it is the basic part that you should know if you need to understand that mechanism. Okay, so now guys, be the part of this Avengers batch as soon as possible, because soon, right, I don't know the exact date, but yes, we are going to close the entries as well, and it is of no use, literally it is of no use if you join, right, this batch in the month of, you know, October, November or in the December. Right? See, crash course is beneficial. I'm not denying that crash course is not beneficial. It is only beneficial when you have done something. Right? When you have studied something. See, honestly, I'm telling you, if you are saying that, ma'am, I don't even know anything from 11th and 12th biology, and still I want to join the crash course, and they tell me, can I crack the NEET examination? According to me, it's a no. It's near to impossible. You can still give it a try, but it is near to impossible. Because if you are thinking to join any course which can help you out in your NEET preparation, means you have studied something. Let's say if you have 38 chapters in biology, at least you know 10 chapters or you know 15 chapters, right? Or you know 15 chapters. That's what I can say. That's what I can say. That can happen also. But if you are saying that, ma'am, I am a beginner. See, whenever we use the word beginner in the NEET preparation, we assume that you know something, you know. Okay, you know something. But if you're thinking, nee, ma'am, we don't know anything, then it will be of no use to join any crash course or something. Still, there is the time, bache. You have the time, bache. So join this batch, right? And see, you are getting it at a price of 4,999. And in that price, you are getting physics, chemistry, biology, experienced team is there, experienced teachers are there, mock test is there, particularly revision sessions are there, doubt sessions are there. What else you want? Okay. So study properly, dedicate your, you know, just devote these months to the NEET preparation. Definitely you will get good result. For sure you will get good result. And moreover, bache, see, this is the video that I have posted few days back, right? So roadmap to score 650 plus marks in 239 days. Now You don't even have 239 days. It's a proven strategy here. You know, I have divided the days, I have divided the syllabus as well. If you have seen it, very good. Otherwise, please check it out. And moreover, do subscribe our channel. See, look at this channel. See, Shreyas sir has posted the strategy video, right? Wazeem sir has posted everything related to NEET, right? How to utilize time wisely, chemistry strategy, biology complete strategy, right? Time, how to utilize time properly. Right, here also I have shared this video in detail. I have mentioned that how can you cover the syllabus, more syllabus in less time, and moreover, many more videos like that. Look at this, HSP sir is telling you, you know, how can you score in a better way. Right. So just join this channel, bache, subscribe this channel. You will get all the important updates. You're going to get all the important updates required. Okay, so now you know. It will take few seconds. Do let me know that you like the session or not. And thank you so much. We'll see you on Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we will start our new chapter. Which chapter are we going to start? Do you know that? We are going to start Principles of Inheritance and Variation. So in the morning lecture, you know that 3 to 4 parts I'll finish one chapter, and here breathing and exchange of gases, we will finish it in 2 parts. So in next part, we will finish it. Okay, I can stretch it a bit, but I'm not feeling so well. So that's why I'm going to end it today. Done? So take care, do revise it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.